Hi, I'm Elaine Harding. Welcome to my blog at stampwithelaine.com. Today's project is this tower fold card. It looks like that when you look at it from above, made with the Pansy bundle, and it folds flat like that so it will fit in an envelope. You're probably wondering, how on earth do I fit a message in there? I didn't want anything on the back because there's enough cutting as it is without adding more cutting. So I've got a little secret message in here. Look, you pop that up and you can write what you want in there. And this little bud here is placed there strategically so it holds the card shut. Method and the madness. And then that stands like that, folds like that to go in the envelope. And I've got a little honeybee there, as well as some sequins for everything. To make this card, I'm using one of the new suites in the new annual catalogue from May 21 to April 22, and you'll find it on pages 28 to 29. This is the stamp set, and in fact, with the new configuration, the stamps are now printed on the back of the sleeve for the stamp set. Can you see that there? I've stuck my acetate sheets for the stamp onto the box itself. This is the die set to go with it. There are 21 dies altogether, and these are the stamped images and those are the dies. If you're wondering what these funny shapes are, they're actually to die cut the stamped out leaves. First I'll show you the designer series paper that goes with it. Chosen this pattern for the designer series paper layer. The two dies I showed you that cut out the stamp leaves also cut out the leaves from the designer series paper, like so. Can you see that? And this one will cut out the pansies from the designer series paper. There's a small one and a large one. It will also die cut a stamped one that you do yourself, and these dies cut and emboss at the same time. So that's the flower centre. You've got the die cut and emboss leaves here, a small and a large. To assemble a pansy, you actually need two of these, one of those, this one here, which is the outline to lay on top, followed by this one, which goes in the middle, and then lastly these ones, which will go in the middle here. These two dies cuts out the accents, the leaves, so you die cut a whole leaf like that and you lay that on top as I've displayed here. And this one cuts out this flower detail here. I don't know what the name is for it, but this one, two of these make up this flower here. So you lay this one on top of this one, and that goes underneath this one. So for the pansy flower centers, it cuts out 3 at the same time with just one pass through the die cutting machine. And what else have I left out? These are the stems. I haven't used those yet. And this one I think is for stamping the flower here. So to die cut all the flowers that you need for this card, I've laid them out here so you can easily see it. So for this die you need to cut 2 in fresh freesia, 2 in of this one in fresh freesia, 2 in evening evergreen, then you need 1 in Blackberry Bliss for the centre of the flower, Blackberry Bliss for the outline of the flower, and Blackberry Bliss, where does that one go? I didn't need that one. So yes, you only die cut one of those. For the small cut and emboss leaves, you need 2 in soft succulent and 1 in evening evergreen, and the same with the larger leaf, 2 in soft succulent and 1 in evening evergreen. For the accent pieces, you need 2 in evening evergreen for the large leaf and 2 of the small ones for the smaller leaves. So to save time, I've already pre-die cut that. We'll set it aside and access it later. Inside the card, I've done a little bit of stamping on Whisper White cardstock, so you need a scrap of that as well. You need scraps of evening evergreen, Blackberry Bliss, soft succulent and bumblebee. On the bumblebee and one of the evening evergreen and Blackberry Bliss strips, I use the adhesive sheets, and I just cut those panels in 2-inch strips because these are 6 by 12 wide, but the adhesive sheets you can use in 2-inch by 12-inch strips, which means it's much more economical. So I've already done that, and I've pre-die cut everything, as you can see. It saves you a lot of hassle trying to glue tiny little bits onto your project. You need the Stamparatus. I've set up my Stamparatus with my template so that I can stamp the images. So I only need a small one, I don't want a big one. Let's recap how to use the die cutting machine. You use platform 1, the thin die adapter, platform 2, you have a base cutting plate followed by your cardstock and the die, cutting edge face down, and then another platform 3 plate, and that's your sandwich, and you're ready to run it through the machine. So I'll do that off camera, and this applies the same for all the dies that I've pre-die cut. The inks I'm using are Fresh Freesia, Blackberry Bliss and Bumblebee. I'm also using the Bumblebee trinkets, they're 20 in a box, and the sequins for everything. I'll just use a variety of colours in there. Now let's tackle the cardstock. You need an 8 1/4 inch piece by 5 3/4 in evening evergreen. In metric, that's 21 centimetres by 14.6. Before I run through the other pieces of cardstock you need, I'll show you how to cut up the evening evergreen layer to make the tower card. I'm showing you on a lighter piece of cardstock because it'll be too dark with the evening evergreen. So first you have the long side at the top, the 8 1/4 inches at the top, and you score at 1 inch, 2 inches, rotate it 180 degrees and score it at 1 inch and 2 inches at the other end. We'll do the right side first. So line it at 1 inch here on your trimmer and put your blade at the 3 inch mark. Use the markings on the side of your dark grey blade. Press down, then cut up to the 1 inch score line here. Okay, lift the blade, then you want to slide the blade, and at the 5 1/4 inch mark here, press it down and cut down to 7 1/4 inches, which is the score line here. Lift your blade, so rotate your card 180 degrees and do the 1 inch cut to the right of the cutting groove, and you basically just repeat the process. So slide your paper over so that the left edge is on the 2 inch mark, and you repeat the cut. So 2 inches there, 3" up to 1 inch, 5 1/4 inches down to 7 1/4 inches. Turn your cardstock 180 degrees, line it up at the 2 inch mark and repeat. There's your cut lines, can you see that? So you've got 2 pairs of cut lines opposite each other. Now that you've cut those panels, then you just want to score between these 2 lines here. You score at the 3 inch mark in between these 2 lines. So I've done that for my evening evergreen. Now we need the 2 panels for the side, and this has been cut in soft succulent. It measures 7/8 across by 5 5/8. In metric, that's 2.2 by 14.3 centimeters. So let's glue that down. These 2 bits for the top and bottom, 7/8 by 4 1/8. These 2 side panels here, and these measure 7/8 again by 1 5/8. In metric, that's 2.2 by 4.1 centimeters. Then you have the mini tent card base for the middle here, and that measures 7 1/2 across by 2 1/8, and it's been folded in half. So that's scored at 3 3/4 inches, which is 9.5 centimeters. So you only want to glue the back. Now for the 2 side panels with the Pansy Petals DSP, and this is 3/4 inch by 5 1/2, so you need 2 pieces of that. Then we need 2 pieces for the top and bottom, and this measures 3/4 inch by 4 inches, and that is 1.9 by 10.2. Now be careful of the orientation, because this is the stripes. I don't want the stripes to go this way, I want them to go this way, the same way as the side panels. So for inside the card here, this piece is in basic white, and that measures 3 5/8 by 2 inches. To bring in my stamp apparatus, I've die cut some blanks for my pansy, and I'm going to just pop it in there. I'm going to stamp the base colour first with the solid image, and that will be done in fresh freesia. Reinsert that, switch plates round, switch ink to Blackberry Bliss, then use Bumblebee, stamp in the middle. Now you see the middle, it's got a little triangular shape, so that's how the stamp is oriented. So I shall stamp in there. Glue this pansy to the corner of my card, and I'll put the glue on the card rather than on the pansy. And I'll cut off the excess from behind. Glue this on top of my card. Oops, I made a big boo-boo, didn't I? I should have stamped that first. Never mind. I'll pop that bit of weight on the bottom on the card, and then do it that way ink up the sentiment in soft succulent and stamp. And while I've still got the soft succulent ink out, I'll stamp the sentiment at the same time as well. Bring in my trimmer and trim the word, a little flag end on this side, cut in the center, and then from the outer edges cut toward the middle. Now we can bring our die cuts back, and I'm going just to peel that off and pop that so that it fits over the bud, and layer that onto this piece here. I want to close the card and then pop this mini dimensional over on this panel at the bottom, and then pop my flower on top. Anchor that, trim off the excess. Next, take this, remove the sticky backing, glue this bit on, put a bit of glue at the bottom here and attach that to the flower. And lastly, pop that on top. Get a bone folder and just curl this a little bit. Put dimensionals on the back. Curl the leaves a little. Attach that to your large leaf. You want to make sure that the leaves don't interfere with closing the card. So let's put the smaller leaf down first. On the last leg now, marry that up with this flower here. Dimensional on the back. Curl the greeting. Blue dot and one where the dip is here. Now I've popped some glue here and we'll just drop the sequins in. Last little touch, the bumblebee. So there you have it, a fun fold tarot card with the floral theme using Pansy Patch. Thanks for joining me today. It's not really as complicated as it looks, it's just that it's a lot of layers and there were a lot of dies to cut up to make the pansy, and I've done a stamped one as well as one that's just made with the die cuts. I hope you've enjoyed today's tutorial. All the links to the supplies are listed below my video in the show more section. If you haven't subscribed yet, hit the subscribe button, and if you like it, do give me a thumbs up. You can also find me on Facebook, Pinterest or Instagram. Thanks for joining me, and I'll be back soon with more inspiration. Bye!